Welcome to our webinar. Today we'll be talking about organizational capacity self-assessment, and I'd like to introduce our expert today, Elena Nichosina, who will be guiding us through the webinar. Welcome, Elena, and we're all ears.
Thank you, Sona. So, shall we start?
I think we shall.
Okay. I'm delighted to have this webinar with you and represent you a very interesting topic from my point of view, organizational capacity self-assessment tool. And I think it's not only interesting, but it's very useful for your organization and I think for your partners or other organization which you work with. So let's start. Let's start about ECAT. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes. And
Ma'am, can you see that? Yes. Okay.
Okay. And yes, I see. I see this chat. And if you have questions during my presentation, please text in the chat, or you can switch on your microphone and we can stop and discuss any question that you have during my presentation. So let's start. The objective of our webinar is capacity building of your organization as ECOM subrecipients by conducting self-assessments of your organizational capacity. And our agenda, our webinar will be divided on two main parts. First part, we will talk about organizational capacity. Some theories, it's important to understand what is it organizational capacity, what is organizational development, why it's important for non-government organization, and how we should manage our organizational development. Also, we'll talk about core components of organizational capacity, which we suggest for this instrument, this tool, ECAT, institutional, programmatic, and financial component. Second part of the webinar, we will talk about very pragmatic, practical things. Very pragmatic things actually about the tool, and I will represent you this tool, show how to use it, and you can ask me a question about applying this tool. Let's start from some important piece of theory. Organizational capacity and development. I will talk about definition and understanding what is organizational life cycle and core components of organizational capacity. If we say about organization, we usually understand it as a group of people who gather together to achieve some particular goal, aim. These people can get together for doing some business, or represent the interests of some group, or make some changes. It depends on the mission of this organization. The second understanding, second definition, meaning of the word organization is the quality of being arranged in a neat, careful, and logical way. Actually, we in Russian language we use the same word organization for both meaning. In English, we use management or governance for second option of this meaning. And when we talk about organization during our webinars, we will mean first of all the group of people who create this stable group to achieve your mission of your organization, and also we'll talk about some aspects of practical ways of management of your organization, because it's important to development and to achieving your goals. If we say about organization as a group of people, what attributes have any organization? First of all, aim. People create some group to achieve some mission, aim, something very long term and important. Sometimes its mission seems not be achievable, but it's important. It's like our long-term strategy, which we are going to get in the future. Second attribute of organization is availability of resources. To achieve our mission or aim, we need some resources, different kinds of resources, financial, human resources, informational resources, technologies, and other depends of your activities. Next characteristic of organization is relationship with external environment, because any organization does not work in a vacuum. It works and interact with external environments, and can be affected by different conditions like policy or social problems or economical conditions. So external environment, it's important. Next features of organization related to divisions of labor, and we talk about organizational structure when we say about horizontal division of labor, depending on the activities, on main direction of your strategic direction or main activities of your organization. Organizational structure should be developed and to achieve your main goals. And vertical division of labor, we mean subordination and coordination when we talk about governance and management. So the next important feature is management, what is needed for the achieving our aim, mission, and strategic goals established, set up before our groups. Next feature is planning. Planning is essential to coordinate this group of people and coordinate different resources to achieve our aim. Any organization has formal and informal groups. When we say about formal groups, we mean that it's positions like top management positions or some staff position within staff within organization, or subdivisions like departments or project teams. As well, organization, there are a lot of informal groups which also can affect the internal climate in organization and affect the productivity and effectivity of work organization. And one of important attributes of organization, feature of organization, is activities. So organization, it's a life, we can say, organism which need to do something. It's not death structure, it's do some activities. So I understand that thing is very well known, and the next slide I will show you about life cycle organization. I'm sure what you have been taught, you heard about the life cycle organization. There are different theories, different approaches, how identify the steps, the specific stages or ages of organization, and they show you on this slide two different approaches, two different model series, and you can see excuse me. You can see one of cycle is starting from birth and ending in this death, and other cycle is show continue growth of organization. Anyway, what we should remember, there are plenty of theories, and we need to understand that each organization have different stages. How many stages, it depends on your preferences, but for the our ECAT self-assessment tool, we suggest to consider 5 main stages or ages of organization's life, which presented on this slide. First of all, we start from birth. Second stage is childhood, and next stage youth. Then when we will talk about maturity, when organization they're very serious and adult age, then aging. And organization has specific privilege to terminate their life cycle. 2 options. First options is death, and we know a lot of examples when a lot of organizations just terminated their life and close their activity. But also, any organization have a unique opportunity to revival and rebirth and start activity and their organizational capacity on the next level of development. And this is important to take into consideration for the self-assessment. Look through these stages to understand the main characteristic of each stage. When we talk about organization growth or creation of any organization, the main prime objective is to survive. Like a newborn which need to survive in this big and very scary world, any organization, any new organization need to survive, and the main priority is to get to markets, to get some resources, to hold some piece of market, some services, and be represented on the market. If you say about governance or management, usually it's one person, and usually normally organization, the first stages of life cycle, it's a small group of people who implement, who do different roles, and they work in different directions, and don't have big staff. If you say about next step, childhood and youth, the prime objective for this period is fast growth of organization. When any organization can try to get a lot of resources, new projects, promote itself on the markets, try to build reliable partnership, everything to consolidate the position and take the bigger part of market. And it's clear that on this stage, hard management is essential on this stage of development of organization. The next step, and which expect, I think, any manager, any top manager of NGO, not only NGO and the business organization, is maturity. But we have reached some position. We have a lot of resources, enough resources. We have staff. We have some traditions, procedures, and primary objectives support this. Everything is great. It's going great, and everything should be going great for many years. Priority, just hold the position when we get on the market, and governance, we can delegate some authorities. The organizational structure is getting bigger and consists of most of many departments, or we created some additional governance body like advisory bodies or trustees boards, etc. So maturity period is a very good period, but unfortunately this maturity periods will be ended, and we should go to the next stage, aging. Aging is a very natural stage for any organization, and prime objective on this stage is keep business as usual. Business as usual. Now, if you say about HIV and AIDS programs in the context of the fast track and the UNAIDS goal 1990, business as usual, it's not a good approach. At fast track is supposed to change this approach as business as usual. So if we say about organization in this respectful age, it's clear why team of the organization want to keep this business as usual. Why there is some resistance to some innovations, because maybe people are tired, maybe they are too proud, or maybe they just don't want to change something in organization. And my priority on this stage is to support stability. But any organization will come and to the next step, to the next stage. What it's any team need to decide what to do the next step. And organization can or renew or rejuvenate their functions, and completely change their approaches, maybe completely change their team, and maybe review strategy, and I don't know, for different organization, a different process. And priority is implementation of innovations. Why? Because the old model of our organizational structure, our old organizational capacity, it's not good enough for the new conditions, and we just need this renovation and innovations for our activities. So, if we say about two main concepts of organizational capacity, we should understand that resilience and sustainable development of organization, it's possible when all the systems within the organization are in balanced state, and if it work in efficient way. And if we say about different stages of lifestyle, we should understand that there is some disbalance. It can be disbalance in different systems during different ages of lifestyle. For example, when we say about childhood and use of organization, the organization will pass through the fast growth, and it causes some disbalance in internal system. We will look in which system, for example. Or if we say about aging stage of organizational development, we should understand that some of systems work not so efficient as they worked earlier. So to concept of self-assessment, and important for any organization to remember what is our organizational capacity now. So what is the stage of development of case systems of our organization, their efficiency and balance. And second, it's organizational development. It's ongoing process which aim at improving efficiency and keep balance of all system and mechanism and NGOs. I suggest you the picture of the car. I know a few about car, just very simple things, like any car has engine and has some other systems, and I understand that specialists who work with car can identify a lot of systems and components of this car, and when the specialist will provide diagnostic or service maintenance of the car, he or she will diagnose or examine different parts and use different instruments. So if we say about organizational capacity, we should understand that any organization also has complex of mechanisms and interrelated systems. And there are plenty of different approaches how to divide, how to identify this mechanism and components of organizational capacity. We suggest, and now we we're so close to ECAT assessment tool, we suggest for this instrument, for this tool, we suggest 3 core components of organizational capacity. First is institutional, second third financial. Institutional component covers all things that's related with governance of organization, planning. We will talk about mission, governance body, management system, planning, human resources. If we say about programmatic component, we talk about our programs, our services, our external or public relation. Maybe your organization provide services and different services for different groups, or maybe your organization work as think tank or work as human rights organization. So this programmatic component will be very unique and specific for each of your organization. Third component, financial component. It's about what is maintain our organization, what is the fuel of our organization. And of course, we talk about resources, first of all, financial resources, and such things like accounting, financial management, reporting, fundraising, and etc. So these three core components of organizational capacity is the framework for the assessment tool, which we suggest you to work to use in your organization. If you say about stages of organizational development, I showed it as a line, but actually it's like spiral with different levels of organizational development. It's an ongoing process, and we should start from assessment. Assessment can be internal assessment or external. And this tool, what we suggest you, ECAT self-assessment tool, it's kind of internal assessment. Also, as I know, all of your organization had the external assessment on the beginning of the on the inception period of project of program Rights for Health, when specialist of ECOM came to your organization and arranged this assessment. Now we suggest you, based on the same approach, but tool for self-assessment. Next step is planning of organizational development. As I know, after the visit of ECOM specialist and after this assessment that they conducted, you develop this kind of plan of organizational development and implement. You have been implementing this plan. And by the way, I suppose this webinar is one of activity of your capacity organizational development. And end of the cycle of organizational development is follow-up assessment, which became a first point for the next level, for the next stage of development for your organization. How often should the NGO arrange assessment? It's a question, and it depends on the methodology that we use and common sense. Some methodology, for example, external assessments, suppose the period of 3-4 years between different assessments, because this period is needed to track to have enough time to implement some changes in your organizations and track these changes in during the next assessment. But also, you can arrange internal assessments more often. For example, every year before you develop your new operational plan for the new year, or when you draw up your annual report. And this internal assessment you can conduct every year, and I think it will be useful for team. And now I'm ready to tell you about assessment, why it's needed. Maybe you have some questions about definitions and first part of our webinar. Let me know, or you can ask me at the end. Okay, let's go and talk about assessment of organizational capacity. Why do we need to conduct self-assessment? Actually, I must say it's your goodwill, and try to see it as an opportunity. I understand that self-assessments require time. You're very busy. I know you have a lot of different activities. It's required time. It's require a team who will dedicate this time to self-assessment. but it's important, and try to see in the self-assessment some opportunities for your organization. First of all, it's opportunity to see, to have very honest and open talk about your strengths and weaknesses at this stage of at this time of your life cycle. We could critically analyze the current state of your organization. It's internal assessment. You don't have to show the result anybody, so it's your internal business, and please be honest and just talk about what is going on in your organization. Also, you can look ahead and see some directions and possibilities for the capacity building. You can identify priorities, which is more important on this stage for your capacity building. And you can plan your further development. So self-assessment, yes, it's your goodwill, but it's important because it's kind of the investment on yourself. So spend some time and efforts to do this self-assessment. We suggest you the ECAT self-assessment tool, and this tool, it's quite simple, concise, automatic, and I think it's not complicated to use them, but it's required time to discuss this question and to understand the situation in your organization. And this tool, ECAT self-assessment tool, consists of two parts, actually 3 parts, and each part, according to the core component of organizational capacity, institutional, programmatic, and financial. We suggest you some questions about the process which are going on in your organization. And we suggest you a checklist of essential internal documents, policies, procedures, which regulated different aspects of your activities in your organization, like strategic plan, or financial policy, or fundraising strategy, or you can see this list of documents. Some words about self-assessment and the ECAT assessment you had passed through maybe a year or a couple of years ago. As I said, the common things are using the same definitions and the same understanding of the main definition. What is organizational capacity? And using the same components. We use the same 3 components: institutional, programmatic, and financial. And common thing is further planning of organizational development. So this process, we need to, yes, we can identify our weaknesses and strengths, but so what? We need to do next steps and identify some activities need to be done for future development. If you say about self-assessment, it's led by the organizational team. I will tell you later about the team who should be involved in this team, and how this self-assessment will be conducted. External assessment was conducted by external experts. They came to your organization, they had some meetings with your team, and reviewed your documents, internal documents. For self-assessment, we suggest you the tool as an Excel document, and closed questions, checklist and closed questions. So you need just to mark, just to select some options and mark this option. External assessments used the matrix of assessment and scores of different stages of organizational life cycle. In self-assessment, we don't suggest you to identify on which stage you are now, because it's very simple tool, and it just shows you the main points that need your attention. Self-assessment has automatic processing of results. External assessment, it was calculation of average score provided by each expert. And self-assessment, it's a discussion and planning in your organization. So it's your internal process and your team which can honest and open discuss all issues, problems and perspectives. If you say about external assessments, there are some common meetings with experts and organizations were held, and some discussion on result, identify priorities. So it was other kind of process. So how to conduct self-assessment? There are 4 steps. First of all, we should start from team building, and I can tell you when we developed this self-assessment tool, we discussed with ECOM team, should it be questionnaire for filling in by every member of organization, or it should be a team which discuss the questions and provide consolidated opinion. And we suggest this team approach when you will discuss the questions and try to find the consolidated opinion of all team. Second step is completing of self-assessment tool. I will show you how you can do it. Next steps is discussing the results, getting results, and the final steps is capacity building planning. Look at each step. Team building. Who can be members of the assessment team, self-assessment team? It's upon to you. It's up to your decision. Actually, try to use common sense and stable practice in your organization, because you have different organizational structure and different number of staff, different organizational governmental bodies. So you need to create a small team, maybe from 3 to 7 persons, depending on size of your organizations. But it's important that the members from different governmental body, management units, and different divisions, or maybe projects will be presented in this team. So we recommend you invite somebody from management, from top management, from middle management, people who are responsible for different activity, people who are responsible for financial management. So create this small team which will work on self-assessment. Second step is actually completing the self-assessment tool. I will show you the tool and how you should work. The team follow the questions. You will read the questions, talk over the situation in organization, and choose the most appropriate from your point of view option. We suggest you 3 options of situation organization. We will choose the option what is more relevant for your organization and mark in the tool. Also, you should fill in the checklist. So you should indicate the documents which exists in your organization. It's possible that different members of your team will have different understanding of some process. Maybe the people, if your organization is very big and you have some offices, different offices, for example, some people work in offices provide services, some people works in head office and do advocacy, maybe some people work remotely. So members of your team, assessment team, could have different opinion about process, different understanding. So you should talk over this question, this statement, and try to find common understanding to choose the options of. And it's important to hear each opinion from each position of members of your team. And you need to put into assessment tool the agreed answer. The next step is easy and interesting because after completing the questionnaires and checklist, the automatic results sheet will be generated, and you will have three colors: green, yellow, red. Very easy, very simple. Green, everything is going okay and is going great. Yellow, it's not bad, not good, but you need to pay attention to some specific aspects of your organizational development. And red color means, of course, capacity building actions are needed. Maybe it's your first priority for this stage of your life cycle. Discussing the results. Well, we got these three colors, and what's the next? We recommend you the next order of discussion. First of all, talk over and compare the states of three components of organizational capacity, compare with each other. So what is our most strong component? Is it institutional component, or is it financial component, or is it programmatic component? I can give you an example of Ukrainian NGOs, HIV service NGOs that have very interesting results. Not the self-assessment, but assessment. But many organizations who work, who have been implementing the Global Fund grants, have very strong programmatic and financial component, and very weak, extremely weak institutional component. What does it mean? That this organization are in danger, and now when in Ukraine the Global Fund grant is terminating in some months, the many organizations have a lot of problem because they don't have enough strong enough institutional component. So we need to look at the different component and see how is their component in balance or disbalance, and what is more strong component of your organizational capacity, what is weak. Then look each component separately and try to analyze the categories within each component. For example, we said about institutional capacity, what we have with our strategic planning, what is with human resources management or management, general management. Identify strengths. What is your main strengths and most I don't know, reliable parts of your organization. When list the weaknesses of your organization based on the results of self-assessment, and also we could identify some weaknesses during your discussion. And what next? We recommend you take a short pause for 1, maybe 3 days, and arrange next meeting for capacity building planning after self-assessment. Maybe it would be useful to invite other members of your organization or staff who didn't participate in self-evaluation, but who could be useful for planning of organizational capacity. So arrange the second meeting to discuss weaknesses of your organization, problems, issues that you have right now at this stage of your development, and identify the top priority actions for organizational development. For example, actions, what we need to do during the next months, what need to be done next quarter, what need to be done till the end of the year, and develop a plan of actions. I promised your colleague and Russian-speaking colleague, and I promise you to provide a template or maybe example of this capacity building plan. Maybe it will be useful for you to use some templates for your planning. But you need to fill in this plan by your actions, specific actions which are relevant to your situation in your organization. Do you have questions? Because I'd like to show you actually the tool, how it works. Okay, I will. Okay, I will show you the tool. So it's the Excel file, and you can see 5 sheets. 3 sheets, it's 3 organizational capacity core components: institutional, programmatic, financial. First sheet is instruction, and we can write down here's instruction. Actually, you will have the presentation here, this instruction of the steps, and it's main not definition. If you need, I can put a definition this instruction. So we can write the name of our organization. Whereas, for example, NGO leader. And write the date, for example, 29th of March. Yes. And we can go. Results. Result sheet, now it's empty, but you can see we have here the name of our organization and date, and this result will be visible when you fill in the tool. So let's go to tool. Each sheet, separate sheet, is represent different components, and we start from institutional component. Here are some definitions that we use in our questions. For example, definition: what does governmental body means? For example, or management units, or conflict of interest, or reporting. So that's just definition that we use in questions. And we can start from checklist. Just you can see there's a long list of documents. It does not mean that all of these documents need to be existed in your organization. But some of these documents are essential. For example, statute or mission or strategic plan or some of these documents. So you can see, you can go all this list and check what is documents are available in your organization. For example, mission, strategic plan, yes, maybe organizational structure, yes, maybe volunteers policy, yes. So and discuss maybe this list of documents will be helpful for you to identify what policies, procedures do you need for your organization. Maybe you feel lack of some policies that's mentioned in this list. So next part of this assessment is questions. There are some questions. This institutional component is the longest. It's the longest component. I don't remember. 12 questions. And you can read questions. What the governance body provide overall policy for the organization, and you can choose from the list options. You read the options. For example, the governance body is absent to exist on paper. Oh, sorry, I did not change this. I will change this. No, not for now. For example, for organizations relevant option number 2, the governance body discuss and make decisions which prepared and presented by the management unit. So government body exists, but the main role plays management unit. So we choose number 2. Choose number 2. Second, I will choose, for example, 3. Number 1. So we go through all these questions and choose options which describe the situation in your organization. For example, I show what we'll have. So if we will look at the sheet results, we can see, oh, I'm sorry, I did not translate. I forgot translated this comments. I will do it. So we got results for some parts of subcomponents of institutional component. For example, we say about governmental body, we got yellow color, so it's not bad, and I will fill in all questions to get results for all components. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. No, maybe I will try on programmatic. Programmatic. The same logic, the same interface, but different questions. We will discuss these questions. Just fill in all questions to get results. The cells are protected. You can use only these orange cells. That's all. Look at the results. Oh, so we have a programmatic component, yellow, and community mobilization. Community mobilization is great, it's green, and other part is not so good, and we can discuss our management. I need management of services. I see one questions, and we can discuss all components, subcomponents of this programmatic elements, and need and plan our capacity building actions. And the same sheet is dedicated to financial component. Not much questions, not many questions. Just choose 3, 1, 5, just 5 questions, and I get the results. Yes, yes. Oh, fundraising is red. So this is sheet of results. And for you, it's actually some visualization for your discussion, but also I hope you can get a lot of information, a lot of ideas of how to do. Sorry, you can get a lot of ideas about your organizational development while you will discuss this list of documents, for example, to see which documents are related to financial component or programmatic, and when you will discuss this questions on organizational capacity. So you will get the results, and you can start the planning of organizational capacity. Do you have questions, maybe? Or maybe I should show you other functions. The tool is very simple. And the main idea is how you your wish and goodwill to discuss the situation in your organization, and to just facilitate this discussion, provide you the questions, provide you colors and maybe ideas of internal documents that you need to have in your organizations. Any questions? Yes, just a moment. Okay. Dear colleagues, if you will have questions, you can contact me. You can contact me. There is my email, and you can contact me directly or through ECOM, SONA, or other ECOM team. And I saw some small details, some issues with tool, and I will finish like this Russian language, and I will finish till Monday. And if you have question about organizational development capacity, please ask me, and I can send you additional materials, additional manuals, or maybe presentation will be useful for your organization. So feel free to contact me.
Can I just make a small comment?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you for the webinar. It was really interesting. This tool looks very useful, and we will definitely create the team with management staff, and we will go through it and fill it out. It's very important that it gives the list of points, because if we sat down and just discussed, we could have missed something. For example, last year when ECOM's representative was here and doing external assessment, we one of the results was that we didn't have voluntary policy, like volunteer policy, and we we never thought about it, even though we discussed our current state, how are we doing, what is the problem. We never thought about volunteer policy. So it's very good that there are the lists, the specific points, so we don't miss anything important. And also it will inspire us, oh, there is that, we need to do that also. And it's good that it's very comprehensive. And in our case, in Equality Movement's case, the problem is that usually we don't do, usually how we do capacity building. For example, we had the case when outreach worker did something not ethical, and then we thought that, okay, we need to do the training about ethics. Or it's very chaotic and pragmatic, and we definitely need once in a year at least, I think, to do like a deep assessment which will give the picture, how are we doing in case of different programmatic areas and specific topics, and then to plan throughout the year what activities do we need to do in order to raise capacity. So this tool will definitely help us, and thank you for explaining and discussing this with us. Thanks.
Thank you very much for this comment. Exactly, you are right, and you sometimes you feel some problems in your organizations, and it's very hard to verbalize these problems, and different members teams feel it, and this tool just help facilitate this discussion, help to verbalize your feeling and represent in some activities and some further organizational development. Thank you very much for comments, participation, and if you will have questions or if you need some materials I can provide you, just let me know. So
thank you, Irena. Macedonia, do you have any questions for us? We have Stronger Together, and we have
chat. Very useful presentations. Thank you. By the way, you can suggest this tool for your partners, other organization, and they can use also this tool. As I understand, it's open. Yes, it's open. It's free to use tool, and it will be uploaded on the ECOM website. Yes or no?
Yes, it will be available online, as I mentioned already in the beginning. Yes, we will have it online. I will also share it with you through our mailing list, so you should have it easily.